What I want to talk about today is shooting and editing video with an iPad. And it is pretty much an iPad thing. The software that I have is an iPad-based software. I don't have anything for that I've seen for the Android devices at this point. But I think most of the people that we see around here at school have iPads, so this is not a big deal for you. It's not free. It's as far as iPad software goes, it's relatively expensive. It's $10, but it's the same price as iMovie. You can use iMovie on these, of course, which you have to buy as well. But this software, and it used to be Avid Studio, now it's Pinnacle Studio, which is right here. It's $10. Corel Draw bought out Avid's Pinnacle Studio. That's why it's been rebranded, but it's exactly the same device or the same software. So to get started, I'm just going to open the application, and this is what you see from the beginning. I have one project up here, Java Jazz, that I did. That's what we're gonna go through today. All of the video that you see on this, I shot with this iPad. I went down yesterday to Java Jazz and just stood around for a while and took some footage. So that's the idea, is being able to produce. This is high quality video. I mean, it's probably not broadcast quality, but you know what I see coming back from this off of YouTube using this camera is great. And there's just a lot of potential for your classroom having a device that you can do everything, that you can record the video, then you can come back and you can edit, put it together, and do a very credible professional job right from this device with a $10 application. And that's kind of what got me excited, is the possibilities that you can do for your classroom. So what I'm going to start out doing, I just clicked, well, you couldn't see. I just clicked and it asked for we're going to create a new project, and I'm just going to call it Demo. And it's going to create a new project, and what it does is it looks in your photos. I also have an album created that of the footage that I shot yesterday. So it goes out and looks at the photos that are on your iPad. You could also access your iCloud if you wanted to. So there are many sources. You can also access your actual photos, because you can put photos in there. This is a good way, if you want to create a presentation with just still photos, you can do it with this software as well. You can add some animation to it and some of the, the Ken Burnsy kind of things where you move things around, and you can add music to it. We're going to do that as well. But I'm going to go back to my albums, and there's the items that I shot yesterday. And the nice thing about digital video is it's what they call nonlinear. So just because you shot something, it was the last shot of the day, doesn't mean that you can't start out with it. So we're going to try to build a little story from all of these. And I'll start out by, if I just double tap on one of these, it's going to load it up into the editor, which is this portion right here. Well, if you double tap, you add it to the timer. I'm just tap, and it should go over here. Okay, now, if we want to preview that footage, I just hit the start button. You notice we've got audio, because there's, it picked up the audio from the mic in the iPad. So this is probably a good place to start, just kind of an establishing shot. But I don't need all of that. So what do? Well, if I grab, this is my endpoint. If I grab that and move it over, I can tell the software where I want this to start, and this is my endpoint, and where I want it to end. So let's just go in and I'm going to move this. Of course, this is all handheld, so I'm going to move past the point where I'm moving around, try to find a spot that's relatively stable, and I'll grab now I'm going to grab this and move it over. And I'm going to hold down, I'm holding down and dragging down here to the scene line. So, contrary to what you get in iMovie, iMovie works only with these little scene lines. You don't get a timeline. Timeline is the traditional paradigm that we have in video. So I like this being able to work with both at the same time. So what we've done now is we've taken that clip that was much longer than this and we've shortened it. Okay? So let's pick another one. I'll click on it and we can do the, that's the problem with a touch device. If you actually touch the wrong thing, it does something. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm going to grab the in point and the out point, and I'm going to shorten this down. And right now, this is just, we don't know how short we want it. I just know it needs to be shorter than what it is now. And of course, I do know because I've done this like 2 or 3 times already. So let's move this over, move this one over. I'll just hold down on it and drag it down to the scene line. So now what do we have? We have 2 scenes cut together. And I think you can start to see the potential here for a story. I mean, this is just like writing. I mean, instead of words, writing, with a word processor or pencil and paper, we're putting pictures and sound together to tell a story. Let's see, the next one. Where is it? No, it's not that one. This one. This is actually the last one that I shot, but we're going to put it into a different order. If I just drag the in point here, whoops, I'm picking the wrong one. There we go. Drag the in point. See, all of this, I don't care about any of that. There's a spot here right where he peeks out from behind the customer's head. I want to start there. And we'll end about there. Again, hold down and drag. So now we have 3 clips. There's another way that you can adjust these clips. If you notice down here, this is the same as the in and out point. So if I wanted to adjust where that ends, I can grab this and move it. Now I've cut it down and made it shorter. So you don't necessarily have to go up to this editor every time. You can start from a different spot. Trying to figure out here what. I'm just going to double click this, and I've now put this new clip directly to the timeline here. And you can see, this is my, I clicked on this, this is an undo. Okay, I added that actually, I wanted that, I'm caught on the thing. Actually, I wanted this to be at the end, and I had my playhead here parked in between these, so it put it there. Very simple to move that. I just hold on to on the scene line, hold it down, I can move it to the end. So now we've got it back in order. And I need to move in here and find out where I want this to start. Obviously, none of that works. And I've got a spot here where she's just oh, right. Yeah, I'm actually, you see, I'm not moving the in and out point there. I'm moving on the timeline. Got to grab there we go. think right there was what I was looking for. And let's find an out point. Something like that. Go to the next clip. Again, it's real easy to grab the wrong thing here. If you just, I'm touching this with my elbow.
Can you name the clips at all?
Not that I know of. This isn't the clip I was thinking it was. I think it's... It's amazing how much that would be nice to name the clips, because I just did this before I came down here, went through this whole thing, and I can't remember which clip was what. You can see that there's a lot of stuff in here that we're not going to use. I knew this would happen when I get in front of people. It just...
Can you put captions on the pictures, like subtitles?
No, you really can't. There is a titling thing in here that you can use, but I don't think you can put actual titles. Now you might be able to put it over the top, because you can layer titles on top of things. I haven't tried that. I'd have to try that. That's fairly sophisticated for a $10 application, but. Let's just go back and see where we stand here. Okay. So I think we've got a delivery here of a drink. Here's the one okay, so that's kind of a story here. I'll show you the one I did upstairs in a second, or the one I did yesterday. Drag that out a little bit more so we can, there we go. All right, let's say that's our story. We have audio, and that audio may be, you may not want to have that much, or you may not want to have it at all, but if I double tap on the clip, it brings up our volume. We can reset the volume here, set it down to like maybe 30%. You can do a fade in or a fade out from here as well. So let's go through and, well, this one didn't have any audio on it. I mean, it did, it just wasn't, it was low. So let's take these all down to about 30%. All I'm doing is just tapping right on these clips to get that editor. Double tapping.
What's the fit?
I didn't hear you.
Fit?
I know, I heard you.
You don't
I haven't looked that up yet. It does something, and I haven't figured out what it is yet. I have to go look it up in the help. So now we've reduced the level of audio on all of these. Because you can also do a voiceover, which is more than likely what you'll want to do if you're doing anything for your classroom. So we can go into our transitions here. Notice we have, and that's a graphical representation of a transition. I'm going to grab this first one up here, and we'll drag it over to, I'm going to drop it right here on the scene line, and that'll give us an opening transition. I'll show you how that works. Let me undo that. What that is doing, we're fading up from black, so it's going to give us black here, and we're going to fade into the first scene. So let's see how that looks. So that's what this is. That's why I put that there. It had to have black to fade into. And if we go to the end, we can also put a fade out on this. Actually, let's see, I think I can do it from here as well. Yes. So you can either drop it on the scene line, or you can drop it right on the timeline as well. So now that gives us a fade out. Let's move in a little bit. So that looks a little bit more finished. So at this point, we could do a voiceover, and all you need to do a voiceover is just click this button. What it allows you to do is to watch the video. It gives you a little countdown, and when it gets to 0, you start talking, and it puts that on a separate video track. So that, anybody want to do a quick 10-second thing about Java Jazz?
What? Can't hear you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's real simple to do. By the way, you can get what's called a photo connection kit for these that allows you to plug in a USB stick or a card from a camera. It'll also take a USB microphone input. If you plug a headset microphone into it, or we have that snowball mic up in our department, plug that in, it will then use that microphone for your voiceover. So you don't have to use the one that's built into the iPad. So if you're sitting at your desk, I mean, you could have your headset mic on, which is probably what I would recommend, and it works just fine. Also routes the audio then through your headphones, which is really kind of nice. I don't know if it's $30 nice. That's what they charge for the connection kit. But if you're doing a lot of this, it would certainly be worth, the investment. At least it would be to me. You notice we've got all different kinds of transitions here. This is really pretty neat for a. If you click on it, it shows you a little preview of what all of these are. So you can, you can actually see ahead of time if you want to. So I very seldom use a transition other than just the, the traditional fade in and fade out. This montage thing, these are some pre-built templates that, and I don't know if it'll, see if it'll play, yeah. You can go in and add your own video into these areas that have the 1, 2s, and 3s. So if you wanted to have some kind of an intro, there's not a lot of them. There's only, well, there's quite a few here. Let's look at another one. But these come built in. So I mean, if something there fits with what you're doing, it would be a very simple thing to just drop your own. You just drag your clips and drop them in there, and it would play in those areas. Text. We have a number of, actually they're called motion titles, different motion titles that we can go through. Where's the one I liked? This one? No. Yep, that's the one I wanted. So let me show you if you wanted to add a title to this, how we would do that. Again, we just grab the icon, and the key to all of this is hold down and then drag, because it'll select it that way. So I hold that down and drag it down to either the scene line or the timeline. And it says your text here. When I select in that area, click in that area, it allows me then to get in there with the keyboard. It automatically wants to capitalize the first word. Okay, and then when we're done, hit the little X. No, don't hit the X. Yes, undo probably would have worked as well. Oh, just hit the return from the. Okay, now I told you this put in, I think we can take this black frame out. In order to delete something, if you select it like this and then hit the trash can, it'll take it out. I don't think we need that since I've got a title in front of it.
If you drop the title, could you have dropped it on the black frame?
No.
No, okay.
No, you're pretty limited. I mean, that's one of the things about, they give you the things that work on the iPad,
Right.
you know, and so that you're a little bit limited, but here's how that works. And then we fade into the first frame. Okay, let's top this off with a little bit of music. If we go over here to the little music icon, what it does is looks for any music that is on your iPad. And let's see. We can preview things. That's kind of jazzy. So if I want to use that, just drag it down and drop it. There we go. Now you notice, well, it's kind of hard for you to see. There's a little bit of space right here. That's all silence. And if you want that to start right at the beginning, all we have to do is drag the endpoint until we get right to where it starts. And now I can drag this over until it's lined up here. And might be kind of nice to have that kind of fade in. So if I double click on that, get this editor, let's say audio fade in, and let's give it a fairly long fade. Maybe not that long. Those are seconds, so we didn't need a 6-second fade in. Here we go. And of course, the music's going to be much longer than the video. So I could scroll all the way to the end of this and drag that little out handle out. But rather than doing that, I'll show you something else. If I select this and go right to the end, select this razor blade tool right here. And I want to have this parked right where I want that cut to be, but it's going to cut this and make it into 2 clips. And it's asking, what do you want to cut? Do you want to cut video? Do you want to cut the audio, or both? So I'm going to say the audio. Now what I can do is select this one and hit the trash can, and it's gone. So like I said, we could have gone to the end and dragged that handle all the way back, but this is a little bit more convenient. So again, let's double click that, and let's give us like a 5-second fade out. And let's see what that's like here. So there you go. So minus anything that, I mean, the other thing, the only other thing we could do with this would be maybe a voiceover. Like I said, if you're doing stuff for your class, that's more than likely the way you're going to do this. You could also bring pictures in. You could put pictures in with this video. Just all different ways of doing this. But this was all done relatively easily. It's not nearly as easy in front of a bunch of people as it is otherwise. Now, but when we get done, we have several different ways of sharing this. And right here is YouTube. Depending on email would probably work with this one because it's very short. But if you get a video of any length, it's not going to be able to email it. We tried it, and it just comes back and says it's too big for email, because I don't know what our email limits are, but video gets very big very fast. But you can also save it as a video file that then you could get off of the iPad and use it as a separate file. But let's go to YouTube.
Does it save an MP4?
I'm not sure what it does. I haven't tried it yet. And you can type in a description. It's already got me logged in. See my name up in the top left corner over there. And you can put in categories, and I'm going to not make this public because say unlisted, and just say start. And it's going to go through and do all the processing that it needs to do and upload that to YouTube. Any of you use video in your classes now? I mean, we have a JCCC. Are you familiar with our JCCC video page on YouTube? That's you can do things, and we can put that up there for you. You could put your videos in your own account, because all you need to do in order to share these with your students is have the link. So you could embed that in Angel. You could send it through an email, just a multiple number of ways. But you don't have to worry about finding the storage space to keep any of these things, because YouTube does that for you, and they do that for free, which is really kind of neat. But this may take, I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because that could take a while.
Well, is there a problem with, like if you have music put it out on YouTube, because it might be copyrighted?
Absolutely, absolutely. This music, the source for this music is a website called Magnatune, and they're a lot more liberal with using it for educational purposes, things like that. They really want you to give credit to the artist. But I've had Mark Swales take a look at their license, and I think it's a good place to get music. You're not going to find top 40 kind of things on Magnatune, but there's a large variety of different types of music, and that's where I got that piece.
Is it purchased?
I'm sorry?
Purchased, right? Or is it free?
Well, I had it. No, it's not free.
But it's not very much, right?
It's not very much. I had a license for a while. It was $15 a month for unlimited downloads. So for several months, I just downloaded and downloaded and downloaded. Before that, you could buy a DVD, and what it was, they would come back when you went to buy it. They would suggest, they said most people are paying $8. So it was up to you what you wanted to pay, but they gave you a range that they would like you to have paid. So it really is very inexpensive. A lot of times the stock music places will, it may cost you $50 or $75 for a piece, which kind of limits, using it for classroom purposes, if you got to spend that kind of money. So Magnatune is a good place to go. Let me go back to the one that I did yesterday. Let's select that. It's going to load that up. And here's the one that I finished yesterday. Different piece of music and everything. But we'll go through that one. one thing you see down here, this is just, in the beginning, remember that second clip that didn't have any audio? When I got to that point and it went silent, even though there was music underneath it, it sounded strange. So I just copied actually I went back to the Java Jazz and just stood there and recorded a bunch of audio, and that's what this is down here. So that's just covering up those. I think you can have up to 4 channels of audio. I know you can have at least 3. You can have the audio that you record with your video, a music track, and a voiceover track. I think you can have 4. So I mean that's pretty good for a device like this. Most of the time when we're doing audio, we don't ever get close to that much. So
Only one video track.
one video track. I'm not sure about that. I think it's only one. Yeah, probably only one video track. But I'm not sure that you can't bring. Well, let's just see what happens. I don't know. If I try to bring a picture in. Yeah, it's just, yeah. It's not, I was hoping that we would get it, another track, but it's not going to let us do that, so. They do, I mean, this has what's called a precision editor in it as well. If you have something that has to get right down to a frame accurate, video is broken up into frames. Basically all this is a camera that takes 30 pictures a second. And because of the way our eyes work, when you put them all together and play them out, it looks like continuous video. So a frame of video, one frame, would be one picture. It would be a 30th of a second. And sometimes you want to get your editing down to be that accurate. Well, you can do that. This has a precision editor built into it as well. I haven't found it necessary at this point, but it just has a lot of professional features that iMovie didn't have, and it was the same amount of money. Yeah, so I've really enjoyed using it, and I need to get out and do some more with it. You can also bring video in from other sources. I mean, I've already done another brown bag on how to get things into your iPad, so you'd need iTunes or another file program that would allow you to bring stuff into the iPad, because you can't just plug in unfortunately, a flash drive or something into it and copy things on and off of it. So, any questions? Any more questions?
These people that you're videotaping in the coffee shop, for example, can you upload that to YouTube without their permission? Have them?
Can't if they don't notice.
Yeah. Most people don't care, but I think our policy here, if I'm not mistaken, is that you need to get, what?
You should get a release if
Yeah.
you've got recognizable students, but I think technically speaking, if they're in a public place, it's not an issue as far as going back and getting sued or whatever, but I wouldn't recommend playing on her.
You don't, yeah, because what happens is, if it's an individual student, they start making, they come back and say, I didn't want my picture up there, I'm in a witness protection program or something, and now so those things can be avoided. And especially in class, you should always find out if somebody doesn't want their picture taken or don't want to be videotaped or something, because I mean that's just common courtesy. There's a lot of people like that. I'm like that, I mean, I don't get upset about it, but that's why I'm on this side of the camera, not the other side of the camera, because I don't like it either. So yeah, and we can provide releases. We have releases that have been approved by the school. So if you need to do that, contact us and we can email you some of those. Just have the students fill them out, and you can either keep them on file or you can give them to Mark Swales, who's our copyright librarian, and he can keep them on file. But it's just a good thing to
Well, there's a lot of people that are just kind of incidentally getting it, they're just passing by.
Right, that's true. And I did make some effort, well, not a lot, to try to, not get a lot of people. But I mean, I'm not putting this up. This is not going to be public anywhere. This is just with a group here. And, but I think, like Marcia said, I'm well within my rights because it's a public place and, there's no
You don't have an expectation of privacy.
Right. Right. Anybody have any ideas for things that you could do in your classroom? I mean, obviously, Jim, you teach Spanish, so there, you know, I could see, you know, doing something conversational with a couple of people, something like that.
I know students make a movie even, you know, write a
Right.
script and film a movie. I know they do that in high schools a lot, making, you know, films or whatever.
You know, the other nice thing about videos, especially on YouTube, is you can do a lot of your teaching from a video, and students can come to your class prepared. So instead of spending the time delivering content, you're interacting with students, having them interact with each other with the content that they have learned before they even got to class. You know, they talk about higher order learning. Video is one of those things that kind of enables that higher learning process rather than just sitting in a classroom and listening to somebody lecture. So a lot of good uses for it. I'd like to think, since that's what we do. Anything else? Any other questions?
I'd like to know if you have more features, there are any more features, or do you have to pay more to come with more features?
I think this one is probably the most feature-rich editor for the iPad that you can get. I've not seen anything you can pay for, like I said, for iMovie. iMovie is pretty much the same on the iPad as it is on the, you know, on the Mac. And if you're an iMovie person, you know, by all means, go for it. I think it's $10 as well. So, but this one fit the way I learned to edit better than iMovie did. iMovie for me was always a paradigm shift in the way they do things, and this felt more at home. But you know, what other things are you wanting to do? What other things are you wanting to do that you don't see here?
I think that that's a lot better than iMovie too, because iMovie is very limited. That has more kind of fancier features, more complex, and things you can do more often.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else?
And one more.
Sure.
I noticed there's like frustration. It's like I'm trying like email, like with iPad, I tried to email with the iPad, and then like I tried to email to my friends, and sometimes they don't send the email, and I've been frustrated with that.
The problem is the size of the video. Most email systems have a limit, and if it's, I think ours is like 20 megabytes or something like that. It doesn't take much video to hit that limit. So video is not something that is easily emailable. You can't compress it small enough to email unless it's a very, very short thing. Something like this, we probably could. We can even try it. See if this will email. It's got it. First thing it has to do is go through now and compress everything.
You added that picture in there, so you might want to delete that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't care about what it looks like. The other thing, when you shoot with your camera, if you set your camera to its lowest quality, that will also make the images smaller. This camera shooting at 720, it's an HD camera built into the iPad, so I usually pick the highest quality to shoot with. You can always make things smaller. It's difficult to make things larger, so that's the way I start. But if you know that you're trying to do something that you're going to email, you might want to start with the lowest quality that your camera will shoot, because that lower quality also means smaller file size. So you might have a chance of doing that. Yeah, there was one to go to. Okay, let's see what happens if I try to send this. Okay, so apparently that was small enough to go. Let me go, let's do a round trip on this. And see if it's come in yet. It may still be sending. I mean, you know, in Outlook, you've got a progress bar that tells you if it's sending. I don't see
on
it
the very
yet.
bottom left screen, send in one of more.
Oh, there it
Hasn't
is.
even started yet, so.
Okay, so it's not, yeah, it's not going yet. But at least it took it, you know, it didn't say that it was too large. We tried it once before and it came back.
It might eventually come back and tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Sending one of two, I wonder what two is, anyway. Okay. And if anybody would like some help, I mean, if you have an idea for a video, and you don't have an iPad or something, let me know. I'll be glad to, you know, we'll be glad to come by and actually help you do something. If you wanna try it out and see if it's, you know, if